Welcome to Talk Around Riyadh, the Wheel of Time showcast. I am your host, Joe Perry, here with my co-hosts, Jen Isgro and Tom Kokoza. How you doing today, Jen?
I'm doing good. I don't like you starting with low energy, Joe. It sounded like a very special episode of Talk Around Riyadh was coming. Something terribly sad had happened. I'm doing good. I had a very non-exciting week, so I have no fun stories to tell. But I'm excited to be here starting our rewatch. And
well, don't give it away, Jen. Don't spoil it. Brendan's with us.
Oh, Brendan. I'm sorry. I've spoiled everything.
Didn't somebody famous die this week as well?
Did they?
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody did.
Richard Belzer.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Richard Belzer.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Thank you for reminding us, Brendan. We had a little conversation in Discord about it.
Yeah. That one hit me.
Munch.
TV great, Richard Belzer.
Yeah.
John Munch.
Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. So I have something odd happened to me last Monday. Now, for those of you who listen religiously to our show, you know that we closed last week's show with Jen wishing everybody a happy President's Day. For those of you who are in America and listening, that's a holiday that we get here because Washington and Lincoln, two of the American presidents, were born around this time. So we just get the whatever it is, the third Monday in February off or something like that. So I was home on Monday, not working, which is great. I was reading in the kitchen. My wife was sitting in the living room with the window open because it was very nice out. And all of a sudden she says, she smells smoke, which is odd because there's no fire pits or anything on our block. She looks out the window and she says, "On the lawn's on fire." I said, "What?" She said, "The lawn's on fire." So there's a side door in the kitchen where I'm sitting. I opened the door. That phrase doesn't make any sense to me. Lawns are not things that generally go on fire. No. So I didn't know what to expect. But I opened the side door and I look out to the front lawn. Now, the way my house is set up, my neighbor's house is and my house are on two sides of a corner. And we share a lawn in the front. There's no fence or anything between our house, just one lawn that stretches across both of our yards. My neighbor's lawn is just on fire. And it's like a fairly big patch of lawn. But the fire is not particularly high, but it's about maybe 15 feet wide, maybe like 8 feet deep, just burning. So I don't know what to do. I'm not a fireman. And it's the winter. And so the water to our house is turned off right to outside. So so I yell at my wife, I'm like, go turn the water on in the basement, call 911. I'm going to go and try and put the fire out. I run out, I hook the hose up. She turns the water on. I put the hose on. I can't find the spray for the hose like that. So I'm there with my thumb.
School it with your thumb, Tom?
Yeah. And the second before I like the water is already like coming out of the hose towards the fire. I'm like, gee, I hope this isn't grease. Because like you're not supposed to wet grease that just spreads a grease fire.
Grease fire.
I thought you meant grease
coming
was
out
coming out of your hose.
The good old yes, my grease spigot in the back of my house. I hope I didn't hook it up to that instead.
You turned the wrong knob, Michelle. No. That's the grease knob.
So
it's for when you grease your lawn.
Yeah, right. It's for the slip and slides in the back. Just makes it better. Anyway, so I ended up whatever. She called 911, got the kids out of the house. I ended up putting the fire out.
Out of the house. They should be in the house away from the fire.
No, she got them. Well, here's the thing, and this is one thing I didn't really. I don't think I talked about this a little bit on Twitter.
The lawns will spread from one lawn, jump to the next lawn, and before you know it.
It's one lawn, but what I didn't mention, I don't think I mentioned there, is that like it's on the side of my house where my garbage is, right? Yeah. Where the paper recycling, which we had like 8 bags of like cardboard and paper recycling that had she not noticed this, or
is that another story we need to get into, Tom? I want to get into this 8 bags of cardboard story.
We just had like we had like got a bunch of things shipped to the house, and we took a while to bag it up. So whatever, there's just a bunch of bags. But like the fire was when it was when I put it out, I want to say about a foot maybe away from that. If that paper had gone up, then my house would have just caught on fire because it's right next to my house. It's like touching my house. So like if she hadn't paid attention when she did, like it would have been a different story. So luckily we live close to a firehouse. They show up like within like 2 minutes of Michelle calling. As I'm putting the fire out, I'm like, it looks like there's like these white metal strips on the ground. So I'm like, I think this is magnesium. She's like, what? And like, I'm trying to remember like high school chemistry, but like magnesium is like, it burns very quickly.
Burns very hot.
So like, I'm just like crazy. And like, I'm just like crazy. I'm just all like, probably paranoid from all this. Don't worry about it. Right. So the fire department comes, they put out they spray all of the lawns, everything down with their fire hose, which is much more powerful than my poultry garden hose.
Your thumb hose?
And they're like,
your grease hose?
And so like, they're like, yeah, somebody probably just like flicked a cigarette in there and the grass was dry and it just went up. All right. Great. That's what I thought the end of the story was. I have to say, like, I was in no like immediate physical danger at all. And it took me like an hour to get my pulse back to normal. But my neighbor, who did not even know any of this was happening until the fire department showed up, they have a camera in their house pointed at that part of the yard, right? Turns out someone deliberately set the fire. He had video footage of like two people walking past the house going, and like they were on the lawn for like minutes setting something up, and the cigarette was a timer. They lit the cigarette to like
cigarette
wait.
Timer. I've done that. I've done that before.
It?
I don't know who it was, but like that night, the fire marshals came down to review the video, and then like down the block across the street, somebody else has a camera, and they got a good look at the people's faces because like they were like face down in the yard, so like the camera saw people do it but couldn't see who it was. We got other footage on the block of somebody who's got footage. So like either there's a pyromaniac couple in the neighborhood, or like I don't know,
your neighbors.
Somebody thought this would be a very big distraction. I have no idea.
What was happening at the same time somewhere else? Yeah.
Maybe
it's very odd.
Maybe your neighbors got enemies.
Then why didn't they set their house on fire?
They're not very smart enemies, Jen.
Right. Yeah. So we.
Can I introduce Brendan now?
Well, we said he was here already. Yes.
Yeah, I've already talked for a couple of.
Well, yeah, I know, but I didn't give you the official like, how you doing, Brendan? We brought our special important guest Brendan back, and I'm sure people are wondering why. Although somebody might have said something as to why before.
Thanks, buddy.
Or if you're listening to this, you've seen the title of the episode and the show notes, might have read those already, so you already know what's going on. But anyway, how you doing, Brendan?
I was better before there was an arson at my best friend's house. I thought it was just an accident, and I was just like, "Hey, good for Tom." And now I'm like, I don't. That's distressing.
Maybe it was intended for you, Tom, and they got the wrong house.
Well, like I said,
right near your house. It's not.
It's
really,
not. Yeah,
it's close to your house.
If again, like if Michelle hadn't smelled the window was closed, and she hadn't smelled smoke, our house would have got on fire. Like that's like there's no doubt about it. Like if I had just told her to call 911 and I went to turn the water on and then come back upstairs and like the house.
I mean, you probably would have turned the grease on.
It was.
Yes, I also definitely would have turned the grease on, and that would
like, always get those two mixed up.
Big problem.
I don't even know why we have a grease pipe. It's the weirdest thing.
It is the weirdest thing. So anyway, Brendan, how
it was
are
that
you?
Close.
I'm good. I'm fine.
There's something not related to Tom's story.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good.
It's good to have you.
It's been over a year since I did this, so I was late and forgot how to do it.
Yeah, that's
so hopefully
you're doing a good job right now, Brendan.
So hopefully this. I keep checking the recording app on my laptop to make sure it's still going. And it appears to be. And there's lines and stuff, so I think we're okay.
It's an industry term, lines and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start this off like we start off most of our episodes, although we've started a while ago. Jen, what's happening?
It's what's happening. Big birthday week for our cast. Both Priyanka Bose and Alvaro Morte celebrated birthdays this week.
Ooh.
Priyanka, our favorite Green Eyes Sedai so far, turned 42 on February 20th.
Oh.
And Alvaro, the best false dragon this side of the Mountains of Mist, turned 48 on February 23rd.
Wow.
And no, he's not too old to play Logain. Why would you say that?
He's too old for sure.
He's way too old. But it's okay.
That's
really
all I could think about when I was watching him, was just like, this guy's too damn old.
Like 20 years too old.
Yes.
But that's like...
we talked about those episodes for hours, and not a one of you said a word about how old that guy was. Shut up.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it in a couple weeks.
It's like Alan Rickman playing Snape. Also, everybody.
It's like all of the all the adult actors.
McGonagall is like in her 30s in the book.
No,
McGonagall's very old in the book.
She's older.
No, read the first book again.
She's
I think they aged her up once the movies came out.
No. She was always old.
I never read the first book, so I can't help you with that.
Get off the podcast, Jen.
Okay, I've only read from 3 on. That's what I've read.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so big news in the audiobook world. Rosamund Pike has been nominated for an Audio Award for Best Female
I'm sorry, that line, I just couldn't hold it in. Big news in the audiobook world. It just seems so funny when you said it.
Oh, should I do it again?
Okay. Go ahead. I want to
start the whole show over. Tom, tell the story again.
No.
Back to one, everybody. That's what we do, right? We start over.
Yeah, I forget it. I'll just keep going. Rosamund Pike has been nominated for an Audio Award for Best Female Narrator for her rendition of the new Eye of the World audiobook. The Wheel of Time official Twitter account tweeted, "Glory to our Moraine for her #Audies 2023 nomination, #The Wheel of Time." So the Audies are presented by the Audio Publishers Association, a not-for-profit trade association that advocates the common collective business interests of audio publishers. So one of Rosamund's fellow nominees is actor Tandy Newton for her reading of War and Peace.
Wow.
That was my exact reaction. Strange, right?
Tandy Newton reading War and Peace.
I swear to God. It's there.
I'm intrigued.
As am I. We'll have to see who wins.
That's got to be a long listen.
I've never read War and Peace, but...
Yeah, neither have I.
It's good. I mean, it's very good, but it's a long book.
Mm-hmm. So all of the categories and nominees can be found on the APA website, audiopub.org. So good luck to Rosamund.
Yeah, good luck. Can we do it? It's like you have to be in the whatever it is, the organization, I'm assuming, to vote. We can't, it's not like a public thing.
Oh, right? I don't know. I'm not even sure when they are calling. Oh, it's not. Oh, Audiopub. I went to apa.org. I just read what it was.
Yeah.
And I typed it in wrong. That's the American Psychiatric Association or something. Yeah, I don't know when they're going to call this, but it's somewhere.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Audio Awards. The Audio Awards will take place at Chelsea Piers on Tuesday, March 28th. Let's crash it.
Do you need a ticket? Okay. Can we buy tickets?
The day before, the audio will be hosted at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. Secure your room now. Come on, guys.
We don't need a room. We can just take the train or something or drive there.
She won't be there anyway.
What if she is there?
She's going to be in Prague.
If it's at March 28th, she's going to be filming soon.
Yes.
Hey,
she will not be there.
There's a chance she could be there.
There's a chance. There's always a chance. So let's keep a lookout after March 28th.
Okay.
And see if she wins.
No.
Or Tandy takes it from her, or one of the other. I'm sure very.
I mean, if Tandy's there, that'd be great too. I'd go for either.
You've talked to her about Westworld. She's on Westworld, right?
Yeah, I'll tell her how I didn't watch the last season because I just after the third season I was like, I don't know if I can watch more of this show.
The first 2 seasons were good for her.
They were. She was awesome. Wasn't her fault. She can only do so much with what they give her.
Okay. Anyway. Back to you, Joe.
Wow.
Categories in these awards.
What?
You looking up some categories there, Brendan?
Yeah. Let's see. I scrolled past it. I just want to get the phrasing right. Faith-based fiction or nonfiction finalists.
Okay.
It's just odd to me. That's a whole category.
Wait.
Yeah. And they lump them all together. Like.
I thought they were making like some sort of, hey, we don't want to make any judgments here. It's faith-based. It could be fiction. It could be non-fiction. We don't know.
Like there's fantasy and fiction.
Why would there be different categories though? Like it's still an audiobook and you're still doing the same thing.
Well, no, there's actually a category for like full cast dramas too.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
You're reading a book with different characters and stuff. It's got to be different than just like narrating I'm trying to think.
Textbook?
Yeah, something like that. Like that.
Yeah, well, textbooks is different. I mean, do they give awards for people audiobooking textbooks?
Oh, Brendan, do that.
Probably not.
All right,
we're really exploring the studio space.
Yeah, let's not explore anymore. We've got
22 minutes in. We haven't spoken about Wheel of Time.
That one's on.
Let's pull back.
Me. I'm sorry.
Let's pull back. Yeah,
I'm gonna put my phone down.
All on you, man.
Okay.
It's time. Welcome back to another edition of Where's What Origins.
What the fuck was that? I confession time. I haven't listened to the show since
yes!
So that was a surprise.
Brendan, since you're the new guy here, do you have any news on where What Origins is? Have you heard anything?
What Origins?
Are those the cartoons I refused to watch?
Yes.
Yeah, those are cartoons. That's right. You didn't watch them when they were out.
There were supposedly the final 2 for season 1, or however people want to interpret it, were supposed to come out last August, and then they never came out. Like the showrunner said they were coming out, and then they didn't come out.
Yeah, I kind of do remember something about that. Yeah.
So have you heard anything about it?
Me? No.
Anyone else?
No. Nothing.
No.
All right. Let's get into some news. We've got a little bit of news to talk. Oh, no, we're holding the news. That's right. Forget that. We're holding the news till after because we're going to get into the main portion of our segment. So during this dearth of Wheel of Time show news, where we're filling the time with made-up segments about short episodes that haven't been yet released, unconfirmed cast, and hobo signs. We're going to look back at season 1, episode by episode, once again, to discuss, dissect, and digress for, I guess,
us?
the sake of our sanity and the sanity of, more importantly, our listeners. So that's right. We're doing a rewatch of season 1. We've been pushing it off. I kind of didn't want to do a rewatch, but I feel like we've been pushed into it, so we're doing. Not because I didn't want to watch the show again, just because I don't know. I don't know.
For it was unoriginal.
It's been over a year.
It's been over a year, but I feel like it makes. I feel like we've raised the white flag at this point and said. It's been such a long time between season 1 and season 2 that we're gonna rewatch season 1 again. Like it's just I don't know, exaggerates the length of time that it's been.
I mean, we could have tried to squeeze a part 7 and 8 out of the prehistory of the books.
Yeah, we could have wrote some more into that history ourselves. But yeah, we're doing a rewatch. We're going to be talking about episode 1. That's why we brought Brendan on. We're going to be doing a spoiler-free discussion, and then we'll get into some spoilers a little later on. So, I think the part that's going to make this not as good as the previous episodes, and I don't know why I'm saying that, is that Jen will not be doing her recaps.
You're really setting us up. You're really
setting this up,
man. You're really like out there on the street bringing people in. Come one, come all.
I didn't want to do this, but
I didn't want to do this. It's not going to be very good.
Well, there's 3 other people here to make it good. All right. That's why we brought Brendan in, to make it good. So don't disappoint Brendan.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I forgot to say too? I'm sorry. I wanted to say this before we started recording. But Brendan, do you have the old scoring? Because I want to rescore it too. Like I want to do fresh scores for the.
Oh yeah. It's I still have the spreadsheet.
All right, awesome. So get that ready for when we finish up. We'll do our scoring again, and because I definitely want to do that, and then we can compare back to what we did. And don't tell us our old scores, at least until after we've already rescored it.
Okay.
All right. So I put on the episode 1 a few hours ago and rewatched it, and I took some notes, and I didn't look at my old notes when I did this because I didn't want to taint myself. I don't know.
No.
It's all fresh notes. But, we're not doing the recap. So I guess where do you want to start? Does anyone have something specifically in the beginning that they want to talk about or bring up? The openings. Let's just talk about the openings, right? The way it opens. We've got the Moraine monologue with her and Lan getting strapped. We've got the Leandrin and the Red Aja unable to catch up while they're on horses, unable to catch up to people running on foot. And then we've got the I guess the next one is what's it called? Is the wisdom, the women's circle ceremony. Sorry.
I have something to say about the Leandrin opening.
Okay.
So I might be misremembering from a later episode, but does it ever come up again later that like the Red Eye Sedai are out there gentling people? Like, is it ever reported to Swan, and why, like by Moraine, and why not?
It comes up. It comes up in the. It's not reported to Swan, but it comes up when, episode 3 or 4, when Moraine is with the, Leandrin and Alana and them. I'm pretty sure it comes up in a conversation with somebody. Is it Karena or Lana, right? Doesn't it? Or am I imagining that?
I remember it coming up. I can't remember why Moraine wouldn't, unless she's just like keeping it in her back pocket.
Yeah.
I think it was something like, she vaguely threatened to rat them out, but didn't.
She just seems like really calm when she's watching that go down. And I kept fighting and thinking like maybe we were meant to think that. I thought at one point like her and Lan were looking at a different guy, and just like the segue, we were meant to think like she wasn't looking at that guy, because
I never bought that.
If that's the guy and she doesn't decide it's not the guy until that moment, like it's a little late. She's very calm for watching who might be the Dragon Reborn getting gentled right in front of her when they're not supposed to be gentling people, and that could possibly be the Dragon Reborn.
So you're saying she should have if she possibly thought him as the Dragon Reborn, she should have stepped in?
Well, she should have like reacted in some way other than like, it's not him. Is it not him because she gentled him, and like that's what I should think it's not him?
Yeah. I think that's.
I don't know.
I think that's 100%. I think basically like they were looking for this guy, when they found him, he was being gentled. The dragon can't get gentled, so this guy can't be it.
Why not?
Because he needs the channel to do whatever he has to do. She doesn't know. I think as the series goes on, like this is kind of, I guess we're going to do this as we talk. So we've seen the series as a whole. Like she doesn't know a lot of stuff, and she relies on basically on faith for a lot of like her, I don't know, for her decision making. And I do think the way I always read the scene was 100% like, well, that guy's gentle. It's not him.
Yeah, that's how I always read it.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be him.
And Lan's like, are you sure?
Right.
I also think, and we probably talked about this a little bit the first time around, it seems like Moiraine's been doing this for a long time and is probably some combination of both tired and cynical about the whole process. And yeah, like she doesn't, if that guy's not the dragon, she doesn't give a shit about him.
Yeah. Right. No, I know that. I don't think she cares about like helping him just because he's like another human being and he's getting gentle.
Yeah.
I just feel like if she didn't know until like then,
I'm not going to help him just because he's a human being.
Except, no, she doesn't care. She's
I need more than that.
No. What's she going to do? Like strike lightning on the
four sisters?
She can't. Yeah. I mean,
tell them to stop.
Hey, girls.
But the reason she doesn't
also, they're not supposed to know, like, they're not
that she's out there. I know.
The Reds aren't supposed to know that she's out there. She's like she's like a spy as much as she's a like, wizard. I know there's not the word. I blanked on it for a second.
Right. It's like a wizard.
I think the real reason is that she doesn't care is because there's rumors of four ta'veren in the Two Rivers.
The best.
Yes, the all important phrase.
So I have a question. I have a question for you, Brendan. From the context of the show, which is literally that only line, do you know what ta'veren are, or what it is?
I mean, they're strong in the Force. Basically, I think is the.
It works.
That's the implication. That's what I took from it. But yeah, these four kids were born, and yeah.
Did anything ever clear anything up for you later in this season, or did you even remember?
You're asking me questions as if I wasn't on a podcast about this show for 2 months.
We don't remember what you said. I don't remember what I said.
No, I'm not saying what he said. I'm saying when you saw that, and then was that something you were thinking about while watching the rest of the series, saying like, you know, she mentioned these ta'veren things, and I'm waiting to hear more about them.
No, I just took at the time and again watching it just again today, like ta'veren is shorthand for these four people might be the dragon.
Okay,
that's it. Like and maybe that's not what it is, but they never explain it any further. So for all intents and purposes, that's what it means to me.
Yeah,
right. I feel like not having any indication that could mean something more than that, if it does, even in the series. Like she says there's rumors of four people at the end of the episode, she leaves with four people. I think we've closed the loop on this one. Like I think that I will say just on that scene, like on the openings overall, I don't know how I felt the first time I watched it or the second time I watched it. But watching it now, I was like, oh, I really don't like the first cold open where Moiraine's getting dressed, and
I didn't like it either.
And much. I mean, I understand like that's good information to have, but I really like the like men who channel are crazy, and this is what they do, and like I do like the setup of like this is a potential fate for a male channeler, right? I
think it came in a little hard, though, in the beginning, right? She says, like, the world is broken. And I'm like, well, no, this is not really broken anymore. Right? That's, I think, the first thing she says. And then she talks about men who thought they were arrogant men who thought, to cage the Dark One. And then I was like, and this is like, it's not spoilers, but this is book stuff. But like, the Dark One was caged beforehand. Like, it wasn't the idea of like imprisoning the Dark One that was so outrageous. I think it was the way he was going to do it, right? But I don't want to get. I guess maybe we shouldn't. Get
I don't. Right now. I don't mind it 100% because it's her opinion.
It's like her
and it's
opinion,
the opinion of it's the opinion of the female Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
But as it's presented as the first literal thing you hear, it feels more like a fact.
Yeah, I didn't like. I never realized it. Like that first line is like the world is broken, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
The arrogance of man. And I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, it's just that's like what they've always believed because that's just whatever. We'll find more about that later. But like, it's presented as like, okay, men are arrogant, rather than like, I think men are arrogant.
And it's really just one guy.
Well, yeah, I guess
she doesn't say it like that.
No, I know. It's like
one guy tried to,
yeah.
Right, but like thinking about,
can't wait to find him again.
When we originally talked about episode 8, and we talked about how, like in the books, like everything's really, really bad, and this war is going really badly, and this is like a desperation. And Brenda was saying how much he loved the fact that, like, no, things are pretty good. And this guy's like, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And, like, so it does play. It is more of a one man's extreme arrogance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's great.
Hubris.
What if I went to kill the devil? And then everything would be better.
Well, he wasn't trying to kill the devil. That's what I'm saying. Well, he was trying to imprison the devil. He wasn't that arrogant, Brendan. He wasn't that arrogant, all right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to dance
I don't
with the
mind.
devil.
I think that what Maureen says, I think the info she gives, basically, like, here's the setup, folks. Like, that's good to have. And I think that I don't think it's bad to show, like, here are people of action going out and doing action-y things with maps. But, like, I just feel like it isn't a particularly engaging opening scene, right?
I think that...
Sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead. You were in the middle of a sentence.
Sorry.
It feels like the episode was done, and they showed it to somebody in charge, and the person in charge was like, I don't know what's going on. Have the most famous person in the cast explain it in the first 2 minutes.
That's probably what happened.
Make sure she's not wearing a bra when she does it.
Is she not wearing a bra? Is that something that I didn't notice?
Yes.
Her bare back is showing when she puts on her jacket. So maybe she's wearing like
even better. Have the most famous person in the cast be half naked and tell us what's going on.
She wasn't half naked.
And they were like, well,
open back.
When she's putting her jacket on, there's nothing on underneath the jacket.
Really?
Shirt.
Unless it's like a low cut corset. That's what I'm saying that you don't see. Yeah. It's like her shoulders and a little bit below is bare.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just.
She didn't know bra.
Yeah, but yeah, it just felt like the voiceover in Blade Runner. Like, I don't get this. Have Harrison Ford explain it throughout the whole movie. And everybody hated it, and then they like released it 1,000 more times with different versions. But
I feel like
on a smaller scale.
I feel like it was longer originally, and then the people, like you said, the higher ups said it's too long, make it shorter, and then they made it shorter, and then it was like, nah, it's still too long, make it shorter, and then it was like, no, one more time, make it just a little bit shorter.
Right.
I feel like it was cut short. It was very well. I appreciated that it wasn't too. You're right, because sometimes you watch those movies or whatever where there's like, I forget. It was something I was watching recently, and I was like, this is like 3 minutes of voiceover in the beginning. It was like a ridiculously long amount of voiceover, and I was like, this is terrible. So I get you don't want it to be too long, because it's just ridiculous.
When do you think that scene is taking place? Like 20 years ago?
No, I have no idea when
20 years ago.
I have no idea when that scene.
She just pops into the tower once in a while to
get more maps.
Simmons.
Was she supposed to be 20 years younger? Were they supposed to be 20 years younger?
They look exactly the same.
Lan isn't, and they're wearing the same clothes. It's the same exact clothes.
They always wear the same clothes.
I'm just saying, supposedly they left the tower and never went back. And
No,
been searching for 20 years.
been.
That's a great question, Jen. I don't know if we've ever discussed that.
When we get to episode 5, I think. Yeah, they talk about that she has been back.
Dana's saying Chad, it's been 2 years since they were in the tower.
Yeah, I thank you. That's great because the number 2 stuck in my head.
All right.
So that could be 2 years prior.
Just in that, like, that's one of the reasons, just an aside, I guess. One of the reasons that I'm enthusiastic about doing this is I feel like over the last month or two, there's been too many times that we've talked about the show and somebody in chat has had to remind us about something that happens on it. And like for a podcast about the show, we should remember what happens more. So I think it's a good thing that we're doing this.
Constantly watching.
Well, I think that line is in an episode that we haven't watched yet. So
I also don't
watched it and don't know.
Yeah, I think it's in episode 5 or 6.
I don't necessarily think that, and this is going to sound weird, but stay with me. I don't necessarily think that scene, quote unquote, really happens. Like there's no moment in the course of their mission where Moraine dramatically gets dressed slowly and Lan is standing off to the side, just like listening to her monologue.
Hallway.
Unless she's not actually speaking. Whatever. Like that's symbolic for your main characters. Like this is that didn't really happen.
Okay.
In my mind.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it originally. But I liked Jen's question of when that happens because it's much more fun to imagine that, was this 2 years ago or was it 20 years ago? Probably 2 years ago, I guess.
Just off to the side when she's getting dressed is like Swan laying in bed, but you don't see it.
Yeah.
And Lan's one of those out of focus guys.
Yeah.
He's out of focus guy. Speaking of Moraine, her entrance into Emmons Field.
Sorry, can I just say it? Because Brendan can't see the chat, but Rayor just put, they addressed when that happens in What Origins number 7.
I can see the chat.
Oh, you can? You're in the spoiler chat?
On my phone.
All right.
Whatever.
Oh
my God.
So anyway, when Moraine first enters the Wine Spring Inn in Emmons Field, when I was rewatching it, I was noticing like there's not a lot of dialogue during that scene, but there's a point where 25 seconds of silence goes with just people staring at each other. Like 25 seconds. That's a long time of silence, just to let people know. Like count to 25 right now. It's a very long time where it's just like, when all
the women are sitting there.
Yeah, it's like after Marinalvia's like, oh yeah, or Moraine says like, yeah, I need a room, blah blah blah, and Marinalvia's
that part.
Marinalvia's like, yes, circle. Moraine's to die.
You skipped too far.
I said when Moraine goes into the two rivers.
But what happened to all the stuff before that?
Oh, I don't know. I was just jumping to something that I had in my notes. Okay, we can go back if you want.
It's fine.
No, go ahead. Let's go back.
No. I just had one little comment to make about the women's circle ceremony.
Oh, okay.
So,
too bad.
How many drownings do you think there have been?
Oh my God, that's one of my notes too. Mortality rate on women's circle ceremony.
That's a good question. They never address it.
I say we get one. I was going to go like 1 in 10.
Wow, that's a lot for a small village. That's like
Yeah, don't make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough that like. People are visibly relieved when she shows up.
Well, her dad is.
It's not like
relieved.
It's not like they're like her dad is like, thank goodness, like they didn't know when she was coming back.
I think he was just being a worry.
I don't think Rand and Perrin have any idea.
Well, they don't know what goes on.
No one knows what goes on.
But if people don't return from it, like on a regular basis, on a 1 in 10 basis, I would think
there's not that many people.
There's not that many people here. Like, it's not like there's getting. They probably do one of them a year, maybe 2 a year.
Yeah, and they've been at those. They're 20-year-old kids, so that means, in your estimation, at least 2 people have died or not come back in their lifetime. I would think that like Rand and Perrin would be a lot more concerned when they don't seem concerned at all.
They seem
They're concerned.
They're not
concerned.
They're not concerned.
They're not like worried that she's not coming back.
I think that they are worried that she may not come back, and they're trying to
There's no indication of it in the show before she shows up, and when they're dicing, there's no one saying like, "When's Egwene coming back?" No one's looking back at the door every 2 minutes to see when she's coming back. They're all playing dice and having a good time.
I think it's very much like the kind of thing where, hey, everybody, when she comes back, it's going to be a huge party. And if she doesn't, then we're going to have a funeral tonight.
Yeah. Also, Joe, I think you're overly focused on the 1 in 10 not coming back, when a better way to look at it is 9 in 10 do come back.
But
and
still,
we get
there's a
bombed for 2 days.
Talk shit about the people who don't come back.
Brendan,
she wasn't strong enough.
Brendan, if your wife left the house and was like, "I've got a 1 in 10 chance of not coming back," wouldn't you be very concerned and wondering the whole time?
You grew up like that.
Marry until you go through this.
Sure. But 2 things, Joe. I have some anxiety issues, 1. And 2, I've been working in the insurance industry for 20 years. So I have a very, very skewed perspective on questions like this. I'm not the person that asks.
Okay. But all right. I withdraw the question.
But at the same time, if Robin left the house, I was like, I'm going to Target, 90% chance I'm going to be back. Okay. See you later. Love you.
Right. I mean, think about it, really. What's the chance on any given day that you die outside your home?
Right.
It's not 1 in 10, that's for sure. Because I've lived for 42 years without dying. How many days is that? It's not 1 in 10.
There's a lot of people. It's whatever.
There's a lot.
Okay.
All right. So,
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah.
Well,
I think her dad.
Next time we meet Rafe and have a chance to ask a question, we should ask him how many people drowned.
How many people do you think come back from it then, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. I think her dad was just being a little worrying because maybe every once or twice in the memory somebody hasn't come back.
Didn't he have some other kids?
Wait. Oh boy! If you're saying once or twice in memory, and I'm saying what basically boils down to every 10 years.
Yeah, I'm talking about once or twice in like memory. So like throughout the town story, the storytelling of the town.
No,
only twice.
No way. People die at a much higher rate than that.
I bet
they get thrown off a cliff into a rapid river.
More people probably come back maimed, and that's the concern. Like they
don't even look for her. They throw her into a rapidly rushing river.
They do this all the time.
Figure out how to come back. Don't get eaten by wolves.
And they're wasted by the time she gets back. Wasted.
They're wasted. Yeah,
the women are wasted.
Yeah, so it's definitely a long journey. Apparently, the journey downriver took her very far away from the town, so she had to travel much further than everybody else to get back.
Yeah, and the wolves are being pushed down the mountain.
But I think more people probably come back maimed. Somebody comes back with like broken arm or all bruised up. So there's probably a lot of that.
And I think that was back.
No, I mean I'm sure some people come back even worse. Like like lose a limb or something like that. Who knows?
Jesus.
That's why I think her dad was concerned, and maybe the rest of them.
As an aside, let's hear it for consummate professional Tom Picosa for not stumbling over the phrase rapidly rushing river. Just well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Bang up job.
I appreciate that.
All right. We've been talking for a while that we haven't gotten past like the first 5 minutes of the episode.
So just on that, and we can move on later on. But like one thing that I did notice in watching the episode again as a whole, not any particular thing, was, and we talked about this, I know when we first talked about it, and a lot of conversations I've had about the first episode of the show with people over the last year plus have referred to the editing and the amazing short scene, quick cut kind of way that it's structured. Watching it again, I cannot believe how rushed the episode seems and how like there is no time to let almost any single scene breathe. One of the reasons that I think I like the opening, the second part of the cold opening so much, is that scene does, even though it's literally a chase with people running breakneck speed being chased by horses, that at least has a moment for like Leandrin to like reveal a little bit about her character before like it moves on to the next thing.
Yeah, the scenes themselves are very like relaxed, and it's not the scenes themselves that it's the actual like the length of them and the cutting back and forth.
It's a 2-hour episode edited down to 1 hour.
Well, not 2 hours.
That's the problem. Yeah, almost, right? It was 2 episodes long.
Yeah, and I feel like it really shows. Like, I think that whatever. We'll do ratings at the end, but like, I didn't like it nearly as much as I did the first couple of times I watched it. Watching it now, I liked it. This was really like until the bad stuff starts happening, it's really badly paced. Like,
yes.
I
didn't notice it as much this time, and maybe because I've just come to accept it.
I know. I feel like I'm used to it now.
And I'm used to it. Yeah. So, but I mean, that's good because that means it's got rewatchability. Where like the things might have bothered you when you first saw it don't bother you like on second and third watches.
No, I feel like the opposite is true.
I'm saying the opposite.
Okay.
I'm saying like once like I'm excited to see this show like wore off. I'm like, this is like not if that was a show that I didn't have an interest in seeing, I don't think I would have watched the second episode.
Wow,
like that's how
I think I would have watched
it. Was in the first half. The second half of the episode,
I would have watched it just for that. Yeah, I would have watched it just
much better.
Yes, I would have watched that show if it was a show I didn't know of, and I saw that. I would watch the show more. I would definitely continue. I'd be like, wow, this was a cool scene. If they can continue to do stuff like this and build on that, it's going to be a good show. So
I think we saw from the cut scene with Tam and Egwene that we saw at WatCon, like what each scene could have been.
Yes.
And after seeing that scene, now watching it again, and he's like, he left, and she just looks away, and it cuts. And it's like, oh my God, there was so much nice dialogue there.
Yeah.
And like, just like, they just like had a chance to act and like emote a little bit, and it was like, nope, cut it. We got to move.
They should have used some of that 25 seconds of silence with Moraine staring at people in the tavern.
Yeah, it was just like
25 seconds.
Look at all of them.
It's a half a minute.
Like, why does she have to look at all of them like that? So we know which ones it is.
Sergio Leone shots in there.
Well, yes, you guys know which ones.
No, but we already were in. Like, there's nobody else. Like Danya was like the only other person, and she had like one line. Like there's nobody else that we focused on of that age.
What if it was?
I think it's
Laila
interesting
Ibarra.
For her
she had a line.
She had one line also.
She has 2 lines. She has 2 lines.
She does?
I know. And what's the second line?
She said, I was shocked and pleased to find that she has a discernible word said during the battle.
Yeah.
She says run.
Oh,
She says run.
Run.
Yes.
Yeah.
She says, I know, and run. And
she laughs while she's dancing.
It's more like
audibly laughs. Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst. I think that's one of the worst TV deaths I've ever seen.
I was concerned because her mouth was filled
but in a different way.
Oh, like
with
there's
the fake
so
blood?
much blood that comes out of her mouth.
I was like, I was concerned that the actress was going to choke on the blood because there's one shot where there's just like it's just like
pouring
filled out of her mouth.
I guess that's
and then
real,
the next shot right after it's like cleared out and just on her face. And I'm like,
I realized when he carries her out, she's clean. I don't know if he cleans her or whatever. Her face is clean. But
I think the actress. I think it was 2 separate like shots, and the actress was like spitting out all the blood because she was choking on it.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's
so bad.
All right, I guess we can jump.
It was
right
a great
to
death, though.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
The fight scene.
It's horrible.
The fight scene had an element to it that I did not remember, and this is like the 4th time I've watched that, where like when they're fighting, I just didn't remember that a monster throws ash in Perrin's eyes in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
And like he's blinded for a while, and he can't then he rages the guy, rage murders the guy, and then turns around and kills him. But like, they actually gave it even like a bigger like he's can't see clearly kind of thing to him. Like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that olive branch.
I don't know.
No, Brendan, you haven't listened to it's the worst. Don't worry, I haven't softened on my position here.
Good.
Like.
I noticed too that she never, whenever they hug, she always has her back to him.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's like a cheating to the camera kind of a thing, or like she doesn't. They're never hugging like face to face.
Yeah, that's a
They're
couple
in
of
bed
those.
together, but every time they hug, she's like
Front to
laying on
back.
him with her back to him.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a real like thing. Like, I am letting you hug me is what that is. That's like,
Right. I'm not hugging you.
right. I'm allowing this hug to happen. I'm not hugging you back. That's a choice. That's not
right.
There's something I noticed on this watch that I hadn't noticed in the prior watches is that there's like, it's like the scene after Rand and Egwene have the conversation about her becoming like a training under Nynaeve. There's like, it's like Matt and Perrin and Rand all in the sitting outside the inn, and Matt's like, what's going on? Something's going on with Egwene. And Perrin's like he's like, yeah, what? And something's going on or whatever. He's like eagerly interested in what's going on. And like,
oh, really?
Yeah, and then Rand looks at him, looks at Perrin, and then Perrin kind of lowers his eyes. And it doesn't kind of. He obviously lowers his eyes like he.
Oh, I didn't.
There's a couple of. It's not just Layla's strange dislike of Egwene and not being there or whatever. Like there's a clear shot of when she comes back after like you see Rand's reaction of like Perrin and his reaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's much more seated in this first episode.
Yes.
That there's something there than I thought it was in my first watch of the show.
Yeah.
But
Well, that one we noticed. I feel like we noticed that and we talked about that in the first run. Like when they're in the tavern in the beginning when she first comes back, there's clear like him looking up at her, and he says a few things that are clear, like looking back that there's something going on.
But
right,
then
and
when
that
Layla,
ends with "Where's your wife?"
Yeah.
Right.
Layla Egwene pulls them into dance.
Yes.
But everyone's laughing and smiling. There's no like hesitation from Layla about like, ew, don't touch me, or why you like. So number one, Egwene has no idea about any of this.
Yeah, and I think Layla knows that, and that's why she doesn't.
He's
That's
mad
why
about. But it's like I wouldn't. If I was like pissed about my husband liking this woman, I wouldn't like laugh and dance if she tried to pull us. And I don't know.
Because I think she also knows that Perrin really loves her too and believes that, and she's like, she might. Does she? I think she does.
It's like, and it's like the best day of the year. It's like,
right.
It's like, okay, am I like, I'm upset. I'm a generally miserable person, maybe, but it's, I don't know.
It's Christmas.
It's better than, I don't know. It's like it's the day where we all like, it's Mardi Gras, whatever. Like
it's the day.
Let's dance.
It's the day where we all pray for our loved ones' souls to come back, and then monsters invade.
Oh man!
And then everyone left in the town who didn't die completely loses their faith. In my version of the story,
loses their faith or doubles down on,
or starts worshiping monsters. I don't know. It could go either way.
Yeah, well, we'll find out till season 2 comes out. So there's one thing I noticed in this episode too that I think I know they do it in other episodes, and I kind of want to keep track of it as we're doing our rewatch because it's something I didn't think of before. But like every time there's like a conversation about like, especially between Moiraine and Lan, and I feel like maybe almost always, or maybe there's some other ones where like who could be the Dragon Reborn conversation, it cuts to somebody. And in this episode that happened. I think Lan asked Moiraine if he knows which one she thinks is the Dragon Reborn, and then it cuts to Egwene. So this is the first time we get that, and it cuts to Egwene. I think we need to watch the rest of the episodes, and every time that comes up, because they do it a couple of times where they cut to somebody after they have that, they bring that up. So we got to see if they hit everybody, because my theory is that they probably get all 4. They actually do it with Logain, I think, too, once.
They do.
Yeah. I think that's the end of episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to keep track of that. Something to keep track of for the episode. Do you recall if there was a pattern with that, or was there, do you think those cuts were some sort of clue to who the dragon really was?
No, I think that the show, obviously we talked about this a lot. The show like we talked about before the show came out, then when the show was happening, that they wanted to build in this mystery, and I thought that was a good way to do it. But the show, I think, like the show, I don't know if it wants you to think, but it wants Moraine to think that it's Egwene, and then the switch is that it's Nynaeve, right? Who Moraine like eliminates as a possibility in this episode,
right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that scene.
She's too old.
She's
right?
way too old. So old.
But like that's the like. I don't know if the show wants to trick you, the viewer, but I think that the show, because that happens, and then later on, when Moraine's watching the lantern ceremony, she like senses Egwene and like they see each other like through the woods and like the and where was Egwene going? Because she left the lantern ceremony, ran up a hill to go back to the party. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, she was all by herself. Even though
I honestly do think, because I thought about it, I thought it was weird, but I'm like, no, like Egwene went there almost because she sensed Moraine, and then when Moraine saw her, she just ran away, and then was like, well, I gotta go back. Like, that's where
Egwene went there to tell the Fade to come down now. Start by killing the guy I'm dancing with because I don't like him.
She's a dark friend.
That guy, that is
poor guy.
Tom.
Yeah,
poor Tom.
Where was she going by herself? The only rationale I can think of is like her parents left early because they needed to go get things ready.
They left early.
They left the
lantern ceremony.
They left the lanterns thing early.
There was a cut scene. That's what it was.
There's a lot of cut scenes.
That she was somewhere.
She was going to the most popular place in the Two Rivers, Cutscene Canyon, where everybody goes and jumps off and is never seen again.
I wanted to talk. I did have a question about the Tom. You mentioned about Nynaeve and Moraine's conversation, where and Brendan, you said where they, she figured out that she was too old to be the Dragon Reborn. When Nynaeve tells that story about the wisdom who brought her to Emond's Field and raised her and whatnot, she tells a story about her going, the wisdom going and walking all the way to the White Tower, and they turned her away because of her clothes. This might be more for Tom and Jen, but Brendan, feel free to jump in on this one. Do you think that's a true story?
I think she thinks it's a true story.
Yeah, Nynaeve does.
Okay.
I think maybe the wisdom thought that's why they turned her away. I don't know. I thought maybe she went and then maybe she just didn't have enough of the power for them. I don't know. Usually in the book, they probably would have kept her, but
she might have been too old, right?
Yeah, or whatever. Don't they keep people just to, like, teach them a little bit just to make sure they're like safe and then they'll they can't like progress. But anyway, I don't think that is actually what happened. Whether she went or not, that's not the reason.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility. And the only reason I say this is because you see this later on in the season. There's a possibility that she, like Lady Amelisa, was a washout, and couldn't admit that. So, like, she didn't really wash out. It was because they didn't like her where she was from or whatever, right? Because you directly, like, you get a sense, not directly, but you get a sense from Liandrin, if Liandrin is following the three oaths the way that she should, that, like, she did not come from a noble elite background, right? That she kind of had a rough youth before she became Aes Sedai. So it's not something where they're judgmental about, your bona fides before
their Amerlin is like washed up on a raft.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like,
you do know that.
Dana Lou's saying that in chat. That's a great point. They took Swan, and you see Swan as a poor fisherman daughter who goes up by herself and not wearing anything pretty and nice.
Right.
And her dad can't even afford two hands.
So I wonder if that, is that purposely done to kind of point out that the story that Nynaeve's telling is not true, or is that just like no one thought about it and was like, oh wait, this story here later on totally contradicts the story.
It's hard to.
I think whether it's true or not literally doesn't matter. Nynaeve believes it's true, and that's what's important. Because I was really focused on Nynaeve rewatching it, because over the course of watching it the first time, Nynaeve became probably my favorite character in the story. And she's watching again. It's fascinating because she hates them so much. Like from the minute Moraine and Lan walk into the town, like they walk into the bar and Nynaeve gets up and her hand is on her knife and she is ready to throw the fuck down. Like from the jump, she hates them. And I love it because she's so righteously indignant about it. And it informs everything about her. I mean this as a positive. Like I'm not saying, so like whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. I hope we never find out. Like it would be I feel like a storytelling failure to find out in season 4. Like, oh, she didn't get rejected because this, and this. She got rejected because of some other thing.
You answered a question I was going to ask, because I was going to ask about that. Like, do you think that it will, like, we'll find out more about it later on, but you hope that it doesn't.
It would make it way too literal.
Yeah.
It would make it like I lost my train of thought. It would make it like explaining who the broom boy is at the end of Star Wars Episode 7.
Right.
Okay.
Episode 8. I'm sorry. Like it doesn't matter who he is. He's a symbol. It's not important. Like it doesn't matter why she got rejected. It matters that she got rejected, and this is what Nynaeve thinks.
Yeah. So right. I like that, and think. Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to say, I like that. I think it was just a tool. Now that you convinced me, Brendan, that it was a tool that the writers used to, like, how can we quickly explain that Moraine hates Aes Sedai and put something in there? Nynaeve. Let's just create this like easy story, and then that explains why Nynaeve hates Aes Sedai, as opposed to going into the nuances that you explain in, like, chapters of a book. That's hard to do on TV.
I also think Nynaeve just hates Moraine, because of the way they came in, and then she just like completely dismissed her and walked past her in the inn as if she was like not even there.
Well, yeah, I think they do that
like the beginning
in the show. Exactly. I think they do that in the show because in the book it's more right. Like Nynaeve doesn't hate Moraine until Moraine disappears with all the kids. With all the kids, then she hates her.
Yeah.
Right. So they kind of build that up, and because I guess the way they wrote it, they say, let's just do a quick story that'll kind of say, hey, this is why Nynaeve hates Moraine. This is why she's acting like such a bitch to her. And
Nynaeve also doesn't get to see like Moraine helping everybody the next day.
No, she doesn't.
So that's like she sees her channeling and she does save them, but.
Yeah, does Nynaeve, I forget.
Well, Nynaeve doesn't see much of anything the next day. Because
Moraine channels to save Egwene and Nynaeve, like during the battle specifically.
Time
she comes in, but
she rips that monster in half. I think to bounce off of Brendan's point, it shouldn't be the kind of thing, and I think I don't know where this show will go with that, but I agree there shouldn't be a scene where like Nynaeve finds out really the wisdom ran away because she couldn't handle the pressures of training, and like that changes. Nynaeve's mind shouldn't change if she found out that the entire story was bullshit. Like
I hope
she should still hate them.
I hope it doesn't ever come up again.
And she should hate them for every other reason because that's not the real like. The real reason she hates them is because she has a job to do and she doesn't know if she could do it the way that she's supposed to. She's supposed to protect all these people.
Her insecurities.
Right. And it's funny, like the question and answer scene that they have, like, Moraine's trying to say like, hey, like trying to figure out like, you're older than you look, right? And she gets insulted because Moraine's saying she looks young, right? Like Moraine's not trying to insult her there necessarily, but like she gets very defensive about the fact that like I may look young, but I can still defend these people. I can still do my job.
Yeah, she thinks that's what Moraine's going to attack her. Like,
where Moraine is really just trying to go like,
no, that's.
I think you're not who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's weird that I know that scene is so she can eliminate Nynaeve, but then she never like asks questions about the other four of them. She just like stares at them creepily from windows. And,
right.
Like you don't see her like looking into them and finding out what their backstories
I guess you're supposed to. You're supposed to. I guess figure that it happens behind the scenes, and who knows, Jen? Like you said, it was supposed to be longer the episode, so maybe that was those could be some cutscenes. I agree with you. Like she only talks to one person, and I mean they make it one of the main characters. So and it gives that reason why Nynaeve doesn't like Aes Sedai, and there was also a reason why she was cleaning that pool because there was another deleted scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is dialing back and just sort of like belatedly agreeing with something Tom said earlier. Like, the first time around when it was first coming out, I saw a lot of complaints from longtime fans, like book fans on Twitter or on our Discord, and like I got into not arguments but like back and forth discussions with people who were like, "Oh, the episode should be longer. The episode should be 2.5 hours long. The episode, there should be 14 episodes. There should be." And my thing was always like, "That's not how long TV shows are. That's not what happens. Like TV shows are half an hour or an hour, more or less, like all the time, all of them." But watching it again today, I was like, "Oh, this should have been 2 hours."
But like, it would have been 2 episodes.
Or it should have been 2 episodes.
I think the idea was
supposed to be.
They wanted to do. He wanted to do like a 2-hour pilot or a close to like hour and a half pilot or whatever.
Well, they should have told him a little sooner.
I don't know how long it was. There's so Brendan, I don't know if we ever told you, but there's actually a leaked supposed like original draft script with extra scenes in it, which actually are really good scenes. And it's like,
you did mention that,
like this kind of explains, and this would have been cool if they put this in. So, I mean, nobody knows, it's not confirmed if it's legit or not, but it seemed pretty good.
Do you guys ever write like a really good tweet and then have to like you write the whole tweet out?
I exclusively write really good tweets.
And then you have to like break it down so it fits in the amount of spaces you have to, like, I'll take a space out here, change this word, make a number into the number instead of the word. Like I feel like that's what he was doing. Like, let's take this little bit out. Let's take this little bit. Okay, we'll move this here. Let's take this. Oh, and it's nowhere near as good as like the original thought was, but like that's what he had to do. He's like, okay, we'll cut this line from this, and we'll cut this part and this, and it's just like
editing a good tweet.
It's still good, but it's not what it. I think this whole first season should just be like, not what it could have been.
You know what, though?
Like, let's just move on and see what season 2 brings us. Because
So join us, folks, over the next 7 weeks.
Jen is now in the joke camp of really selling what we've committed to do.
If you're not feeling that great, then listen to us, because we'll keep you there.
So, I want to jump back away from like this show's really not that great, but like,
no, I was just about to do that. I was just about to say, I was segueing.
This is about something that we were saying.
Okay.
Wait, this is not a segue. This is jumping back for a second because I
was
going to
do a great segue into their depressing conversation. And I was going to bring us back to some heartfelt conversation. But go ahead.
So, two things about the Maureen doesn't do investigations into other people that you see on screen kind of thing. One is a point that we addressed when we originally talked about this, that clearly she had spoken to other people in town before she met with Nynaeve, right? So you can extrapolate that she didn't only talk about Nynaeve with those people.
Yeah, that's what I was
saying. 2,
saying.
which is not something I picked up on any other time that I've watched the show, but it's something that I thought they could be alluding to in watching the show last night. When the boys are having the conversation at the table about Egwene might be a wisdom or whatever, and like we talk about the fact that like Matt's super in tune, like he's a super good friend who's in tune emotionally to them, and Perrin's a little bit like lost in his own thoughts.
That's the scene I was talking about where Perrin looks down when Rand looks at him. Yeah,
right. And Nynaeve's like in the window at the top of the wine stand looking at them. Yeah,
Tom and I are really flipping those.
Maureen, I'm sorry. Anyway. I think there is, watching it last night, I'm like, she could just be listening to their conversation right now. That could be.
So that was Maureen.
What you do because
that was her trick.
Yes, and
that was the first thing she learned how to do as an Aes Sedai.
Right,
before she was an Aes Sedai.
Conversation. I don't remember exactly what the line is, but when the conversation ends, and like one of them gets up and walks away, it cuts back to her, and she's reacting in a way like she heard what the end of the conversation was. So I think there is a potential that that's supposed to show you that even though she's far away, she knows what's going on.
Yeah, that's a great Tom.
Like
I never
Santa.
even thought about that. That's her. That's the first thing she learns how to do right before she becomes a Nice to Die. When she first learns the channel, when she's in the, where she lived, she learns how to eavesdrop on people.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. What I was going into was to kind of turn away from the not so excited and positive conversation, was that when I got to that point when they get when the attacks happens and the Trolloc is about to kill Egwene or whatever it was going to do to her, when the one power comes in and then kills the Trolloc, and then it pans out and you see Moiraine and Lan standing all in hero pose, and then shit starts to happen. I still got chills when that happened. So.
I can tell you did. That was like a Bad Boys-esque kind of.
Yeah, that was. I still got
down.
chills. Shit's going down.
Shit got real.
Shit got real. It still gave me chills, and I was still like super excited. And like I said before, I think before we started recording, I was like, oh, I got to rewatch the episode. I was like, when I get to the fight, like I can kind of skip that because there's not like, necessarily like plot discussion point there. And then once I got to it, I was like, no, I got to watch this. I'm not going to fast forward.
Like, yeah, the big battle scene is far and away the best part of the episode, and it might be the best part of the season, which isn't necessarily what you want. But yeah, it's really good. There were some things I noticed this time around that I missed the first time or the first couple of times. But yeah, I mean the whole thing's very good. There's a bit near the end when Moiraine is preparing her, like Moraine's filled all her energy bars and she's preparing her special move, and like Lan is in the background like covering her, and like two Trollocs move in and he starts fighting them, and then they cut to a wider shot. And Lan is fighting one of these monsters behind Moiraine, and it's literally twice his size.
Yeah,
I completely missed it the first couple of times. It was like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's like, it really emphasizes how formidable he is, which is something that I kind of missed the first time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When because you see a little bit of the townsfolk trying to fight off the Trollocs, and they're not having anything.
Right. And it doesn't go great.
And he comes in, he's just like slicing and dicing.
Yeah, you see Rand and his dad against one, and that thing like shrugs off like arrow shots. And I also, in a similar although lesser extent, like I remembered Tam not really doing that great in the fight, but Tam like cuts the living heck out of that guy.
Yeah,
right.
It
really
slices the nicks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same thing. And that's like a giant Trolloc, like Rand's 6'4" or whatever, and Jack and the guy just tosses him like he's made of paper.
Yeah.
So, like it made Tam look a little bit better to me in my memory, but Lan looks amazing because it takes those two guys like everything they could possibly do to kill one. Like the townspeople get decimated. It takes like 10 of them to knock down one, and Lan's just killing them all over the place.
Yeah.
I did like, I thought it was weird that like, they're like, okay, there's these 4 kids, we're going after them. One's up there. So like, you just go up there, go. You by yourself, like one Trolloc, and the whole there's like a huge army of Trollocs, and they're like, just you go, and we'll meet you later. Like, why did they send a couple up there?
It's 2 people.
Keep each other company. Like
it's 2 people. He's a giant pig monster.
I know, but
he doesn't need backup.
They
Think it's a kid and his dad. They don't know that his dad's a secret magic samurai, whatever the hell they are. I don't know, whatever.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny that it's just literally.
That's a great point, Jen. I never even thought about that. Like they should have, right? Obviously in the book there's more, but you're right. They should have been at least 1 or 2 other. But I guess that they didn't have time to fit that in there.
Once again, it's a TV. It's a TV show. They only had one. Yeah. They only had enough giant pig monster suits to send one guy.
That day.
Yeah.
Maybe that guy is like a he's like, wait a second.
That's another.
I know we're about to kill this whole town, but I see some lights up on the hill.
There's a house up there. Guys.
I'm gonna go check that out. He's operating on his own. They don't send anybody up.
He like steps outside of the army to like pee or something. Notices the lights, turns around, and he's like, I'll catch up to them.
Guys, you guys go. I'll get this one,
and then I'll get the credit all by myself.
Yeah, he's trying to get
killing one of them.
He's an ambitious Trolloc.
Also, for all we know, he's the best giant pig monster guy.
It's true.
And they're like, okay, you're our top guy. We need to get the kid in that house. You go. You can handle it. We'll handle the rabble.
Narg.
Yeah. So we're watching it too.
Number one.
I was trying to discern if the Trollocs were trying to kill like Rand, Egwene, Perrin, right? Because they're not supposed to be trying to kill them. They're supposed to be. They succeeded in kidnapping Nynaeve, which is what they should have been doing with all of them. But I don't know. I don't know if you got any indication.
I think he was going to kill Nynaeve. I don't think he was like. I think he was just like taking a breather for a second.
Yeah, I think he was like, I'm going to eat this person and I'm going to share her.
So then they're changing. All right, so maybe that's.
There's no point in this where like they're not killing those guys on purpose. So, like every single one of them is near death.
Did you get that impression, Brendan, that they were like? Was there any indication to you, or did you think at all that they were trying to capture the four ta'veren as opposed to kill them?
Well, no, because first of all, they paid zero attention to Matt, like none whatsoever.
He looked at Matt and went, "Rawr, rawr."
Well, he was eating somebody that one time.
He's already eating somebody else.
Like they pay virtually no attention to Matt. Well, something it's interesting. Jen brought up. The most elite Trolloc, which is now my explanation for why they only sent the one guy. But when I was watching it, I was thinking like, what is that guy even doing there? Like, shouldn't he be focused on the town? Why is he at this house?
But you understand a little bit later on why.
Well, yeah.
Or how.
Yeah. But I mean, something that I think maybe isn't immediately clear in the episode is whether or not the Trollocs even have that, like, I don't know if the Trollocs have tactics or like plans or agency or that sort of thing, or if they're just slightly more intelligent and organized than wild animals. Like obviously they're being directed there by something, but I don't know. It's not clear. And again, it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily have to be.
Yeah, you don't know.
I think they have a little bit, like in the book, they specifically only attack certain places.
Okay.
They don't like. I guess other people get taken down.
It's much more. I think we talked about this. I don't think anybody dies in the book in the attack.
I don't think so either.
It's different. It's much different.
We're going for these people. And that's what we're going for. So we're going to.
It was much more of a tactical strike. Specific, in the book.
Right? So obviously they can be told, okay, these are the houses. We've scouted this out. Go here.
I'm gonna jump to the very end, just because this is a note that I had that I wanted to make sure we got to. When they're leaving, right? We talked about, this is probably one of the biggest, letdowns of the episode is just with the quickness of what. Of them, we want to use the Dragon Reborn. We got to leave. All right, we're gone. Like, I did notice this time around, they kind of pan to each character and then like their parents or their family, and then the one when they pan to Rand before looking at Tam, Rand looks kind of pissed a little bit. I noticed. I didn't notice it on the other time, and Tam kind of gives him like no, let's say good or kind of thing. Like he kind of gives him like a smile, but kind of like a guilty smile.
I think I didn't notice Rand's reaction, but I definitely noticed Tam being like,
he gave him like a guilty smile.
It's probably you. Just
or
go.
Apologetic smile.
You gotta go because it's you.
Yeah, I thought it was more of a you're not from here, and I've been lying to you for a long time.
Right, like he remembers what
like an apologetic smile. Yeah. And Rand looks angry at him.
I'm sorry that you have to go, but yeah, you have to go.
Yeah, Rand looks angry at him.
Well, yeah.
And so, like, kind of adding that to the flashbacks later on.
Yeah.
I don't remember in future episodes, when they established that Rand started to suspect it was him, if it was like as early as this episode, whatever. Tell me if it. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
But in the show, they don't really make it clear, but I mean, in the books, it's
they flash it back, like
I think
at
in the books he knows at this point that like his dad found him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows that he's been lied to, and there's something going on.
Yeah, but even not knowing that, like Rand's whole thing is he does not want to go anywhere. Like Rand's whole thing is he likes it there, and he wants he has like this plan for his life to live there. So honestly, the exit, and I know I got a lot of mileage out of saying we have to leave because the episode's over.
Yeah.
Last time, but it didn't bother me as much this time for whatever reason. It felt a little less rushed. Maybe because I knew to expect it or something, and it still felt rushed. It bothered me more that that this is the morning after the worst night in the history of this town, and this complete stranger is taking what I have to assume are the 4 best kids. Just like, all right,
Tom Thane's dead.
Bye. Like,
the 2nd through 5th, maybe.
Good luck. We're taking all we're taking your top youths, and we're hitting the road.
Yeah, it's very abrupt, and it's very like accepted. Like one of you,
and that's the thing.
Board,
and that's what it is. Nobody's like, no, you can't leave. Like, hey, the inn fell down. What are you doing? Get back.
Like it'd be more real if the parents were like, no, but like they're gonna say no, and then they're gonna let them go. So it's
we never see parents.
No,
he doesn't look back at anybody.
No,
he looks back at his dead wife.
Right.
So
sorry about your dead wife.
Hey, Archer. How's your dead son?
Baron, how's your dead wife?
Yeah, how's your dead wife?
That's what Pat and Paige should say to him next time he sees him.
It should just be what's his name?
And then Perrin will really show him by going and sitting somewhere and sulking. His big move. His big
that's his finisher.
I'm not a fan of that character. But yeah, like
wait till 2025, Brendan.
He gets better.
Wait 5 years. Wait 5 years, Brendan.
No, Perrin gets better.
No, he'll be good in this season. I think he'll have more to do.
Like Tam knows what's going on. Matt's parents aren't
drunk.
The best.
Abel Cawthon is the worst human in the show. He has no emotion or reaction
false.
to anything.
He doesn't even say anything, and he's the worst.
Except for Pat and Fane. He's the worst.
What about the merge?
He doesn't say anything. He's a jerk, and then he
doesn't eat anybody.
He doesn't save his daughters.
He doesn't eat anybody.
Human. He doesn't save his daughters. And at least the mother's like, oh my God, they were just here. He has no reaction when the girls come back, and no reaction when Matt leaves.
That's because they would have to pay him more for him to have a reaction.
Do you think he wants those kids?
Does he want the girls?
No. He's like, okay.
What do you mean?
This is an out for him. He's a bad person. He is bad.
No, he's
very
horrible.
Bad.
He's the worst.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
He's not the worst. He's the worst in Two Rivers.
Second worst.
Third worst.
Who's the second worst?
Eamon Valda.
In this episode.
No. Okay. In this episode
is the second worst human.
You keep moving the goalposts.
I said this episode. He's not.
I still think he's the third worst human in this episode.
Who's the second worst?
I won't tell you. But there's somebody else in this episode.
All right.
Yeah. It's Laila. She's a dark friend.
It's Perrin. Perrin murders his wife.
It's Laila. She's a dark friend.
Perrin murders his wife. Matt's mom is still alive at the end.
Stop it.
Oh, all right. Should we give it a rating? Should we get our ratings in? Did we do this was it on a 5-star scale, Brendan? Do you remember?
It was Indeed, on a 5-star scale.
Okay. Does anyone want to volunteer to go first on a scale of 1 to 5?
Well, now hold on a second, because I was looking at this independently. I was looking at this earlier. And I'm not going to say what my ratings were because you said you didn't want to get into it. But looking back, are we judging it against? Because when we were watching it the first time, we didn't have anything else to judge it against.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, we do. So, like, I have my original rating for this episode, which I more or less liked, was roughly the same as my rating for episode 6, which is one of the most incompetently produced hours of television I've ever watched.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wait till hot take, everybody. Wait till we get to episode 6.
Join us in 5 weeks.
I've been building this up for a year.
Oh my God.
No, we're judging it on we're not judging it on a curve compared to the other episodes. We're judging it as like a piece of television.
Okay.
So, because that's what we did originally, right? We judged it. We basically said it was a piece of television.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying how much should we be taking into account?
I got mine.
What we know of the future.
Oh, because there are things like make more sense.
I would just rate it the way you would rate the episode. Just don't no caveats or anything else. No in comparison to or not. Like, just you watch this episode. If someone asked you how good was this episode of television compared to whatever, that's how I'm rating it.
So I'm going to tell you this, right?
We could do points though too, like something.
Yeah,
I think watching this, and I feel like if you're not a fan of if you're a new watcher, just as a pure piece of television, not looking at the books and being a book fan, I want to say this was a good show. Like, you're right, it was a little paced a little, weird, or whatever. It was too quickly paced, but I think the actual scenes that we got were good scenes. I wish they would have been a little bit longer. And then that, like you said, the whole fight scene was awesome. And I think even if it seemed to be a little bit maybe slow or choppy in the beginning, when you get into that scene, I think that's what most people remember. So I'm going to give this a 4.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm giving it a 4 as a piece of television, not as like a book fan.
Okay.
Are you going in a particular order? Who's going?
No, does anybody want to go next?
I'll go next. I'm going the other way. Watching this again, I wouldn't have gotten to the end if I had not known what this show was. I probably wouldn't have watched the whole episode because I thought the first, after the cold opens, the 2 openings, I thought the first portion of it was so poorly paced and so like erratic and jumpy. I don't know if I would have gotten to the point where the fight happened. I'm going to give it, being that I did get to that point, and that half of that third of the episode is much, much better.
It's basically
I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars.
Almost. It's almost half the episode.
I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars.
Wow. All right, Jen.
The half star is for the back half. Otherwise,
now
I think.
Let's remember that last time Tom gave something 2.5 stars, we had a 2-week fight about what 2.5 stars actually means. And Tom thinks of it as something differently than the rest of us.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Tom thinks that's right down the middle. And I don't want to get into
legitimately right down the middle.
No, 3 is right down the middle.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes, he's in the middle.
1,
0 stars don't exist.
3, 4. No, 1.
0. No. 0.
There's no 0
to
star.
5.
No, there's no 0. It's
0 star. I have watched plenty of 0-star television
6,
shows,
my friend.
All right. Well, I don't count. We don't count.
7.
No, there's no. You can't rate something 0. It's 1 to 5.
Yes, I can. I can definitely rate things that are just. It's
so that I could just rate things
absolutely.
As 6. I can say this is a 6.
So okay.
No, up to 5. 0 to 5.
No, it's 1 to 5.
Well, why is that 0? What if they think it's less than 1?
Do people actually rate things as less than 1? Like
let's just see what happens. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm
people
not
have given things 0 stars.
We're doing it again. Brendan.
Yeah.
What is your rating for this episode?
3.5.
3.5 stars.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah,
no, go. Give us some. Give us some more.
With the exception of the Laila stuff, which gets worse and worse every time I revisit it. Everything I disliked the first time around didn't bother me as much, and everything I liked the first time around, I liked better.
All right.
Again, with the exception of the Laila stuff, which I beat to death, no pun intended, on the first go round, and I'm going to try to rein myself in this time.
Jen?
Now I'm done.
And done. I will also give it 3.5 stars.
All right. I like it. Fair. I don't know. You're right. I was watching it and I was frustrated, but for some reason I thought it was good. It was a good piece of television. So, yeah. So, I guess compare, Brendan, do you have the old scores? I just kind of curious as to now that we've already put our new scores in, if they match the old scores.
Not even remotely.
All right. Give us a little bit more information.
Well, maybe remotely. I mean, it's a scale of 5. It's only so far we can go. Jen, Tom, and Tom's scores were lower. Jen said 4 last time. Tom said 3.75, which is a huge swing.
Yeah.
And Joe, you and I both liked it more. Joe, you went from a 3.5 to a 4, and I went from a 3 to a 3.5.
Wow.
I deducted a whole point last time because of the Laila shit.
Yeah. Interesting. That's good. It's good. Good going back. So,
yeah.
Thank you Brendan for coming back. We're going to do another short segment after this, but we don't want to obviously spoil Brendan, even though he's kind of somewhat spoiled, but we like to keep up the charade.
Well, I mean, that's why now that the show has actually started and I have more context for this, that's why I haven't listened to the show since I stopped being on it the first time around, because I want to go in as cold as I possibly can. And you guys literally spent 2 months reading a book about the history of the books. So.
True.
Thank you, Brendan. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Brendan.
guys.
Yeah.
How do I? Here we go. Leave. There we go. Bye, guys.
Send me the drop the file in the what's it called in the Google Drive.
You put those links.
It's in the thing.
It should still be pinned.
It's pinned to the thread.
Yeah, it's still pinned.
The file in the what's it called?
It's pinned to the thread.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Oh. All right.
Oh.
No, sorry, Tom.
We're still here an hour and 40 minutes.
We're an hour 40 minutes. Who would have thunk that we would have been talking this long about an episode we'd already talked about for a long time?
Are we going to do news?
Yeah. So before we go, we did have one bit of news that we wanted to talk about, and we didn't want to spoil our good friend Brendan. But WatchSeries.com has reported that the Emons Field set is being rebuilt. Quote, according to the reports and photos from multiple sources, buildings almost identical to those from the original set are currently under construction. And they posted some pictures. So I'll put the link in the show notes so you can look at the pictures. I was actually comparing some of the old pictures from the set that Watch Series had posted way back, trying to see if the layout looked the same, but it did look a little different. It looks like what they're building is slightly different, which would make sense, but
they're being creative now. They have some new space to work with.
Yeah. The houses look like similar style. It just looked like they were maybe positioned differently, but that makes sense. So your thoughts on the rebuilding of this set? Does anybody know why? Do you have any thoughts on why they could be rebuilding this set?
I have thoughts.
What are they?
Because they're using it in season 3.
For what?
For the book 4 storyline where Perrin returns to the Two Rivers.
Yeah.
And has a battle there that's called the Battle of the Two Rivers.
Yes. I feel like everything we're getting for season 3 is leading to this. We haven't seen other things yet, or at least nothing's been leaked yet that kind of hints at other things that are going to be happening.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that everything, everything that we've gotten, it's not a lot, but everything that we've gotten has been focused on the Perrin storyline, which, whatever. It's one of his best storylines, one of the best storylines in the books. It's in some ways probably the only storyline in season 3 that will be resolved. I think that the Black Aja hunting section of what the girls are doing, like that'll have kind of like an unresolved, like there's a fight with a Forsaken, but like nobody wins kind of a thing. And like we think they may run, like I think this is pure theory, there's no thing here, that they may put more of like, they might have Rand leave the Waste by the end of season 4, but that's still like a cliffhangery kind of ending to that storyline. But this is like this is the big ending, I think, of season 4, like the big resolution. Season 3 rather. The big resolution storyline. So I think that I don't know, that has resonance to me.
Yeah, just more. We've been getting a lot of things pointing towards production and filming starting very soon. I think you had predicted, Tom, April. It seems like that's probably a pretty good
5
guess.
weeks away.
But we don't know what other locations they're filming in this year, right? I don't know if there's been any. I feel like What Series had kind of indicated that Morocco's going to be part, right? I feel like some sort of licenses or permits or things like that were filed for Morocco. We know that Prague, obviously, in Jordan Studios, they put the sign back up. So yeah, it sounds like we're going to be very close to getting some photos for season 3 filming, or at least an announcement, maybe. So exciting.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. Sorry, Chen.
No, I was just going to say, like, is there anything spoilery from the episode conversation? I know we kind of basically talked everything and we really didn't get spoilery, which is kind of cool. But was there anything that you guys had to hold back, spoilery, that you wanted to bring up about episode 1?
Not really. I had a couple of other things that we didn't. Oh, you know what? I had a thought, which is probably like totally answered in the book, and I'm just like blanking out on it. But like, how did they know about the Wheel of Time if nobody remembers their past lives? Like, how did they know that they get reincarnated?
I guess there's not like stories a faith in books.
Thing. It's not a faith thing. It's like a literal thing that's.
Well, it happens, right?
But how do they know?
Some people do perhaps remember their past lives, even though most don't. It's odd because, right? Like, it's odd in one way because there is no faith in this world. It's a fact that everyone understands that the creator exists, right? And there's histories, right? So people know about the ages. And maybe you don't know.
Things
that, but you don't know that, like, you've
4 ages ago
reborn. That part, like, how do you know? You know that there've been 8, right? You know the history of the world, and that there's like.
I think because
there's Teleranriad.
There's also legends and prophecies and things like that, and there's like the Heroes of the Horn. They talk about like people reborn, like people being reborn. I mean, it's
but even the Heroes of the Horn don't know they're being reborn until they're in Teleranriad again.
True.
They don't know that they're the Heroes of the Horn when they're on Earth again. Or whatever, Randland.
Right.
It is. I don't know.
That's a good question. It's a deep question.
I was wondering.
We could talk
mostly about the reincarnation. The other stuff.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up here.
I imagine that.
Do you want to imagine, Tom, or should we wrap it up? Let's wrap it up here.
Yeah, no, I was just like, you know that Rand remembers his past lives, at least one of them, clearly.
True, I guess.
And there are probably other people in history that have done that too, that I guess like people just...
people could recognize too, like reading story, I guess... I don't want to get into it. But just quickly, like people who study history are reading stories and like, wait, there's a lot of similarities between this person and this person. Is this person reborn or whatever? That's, I mean, just kind of like we do the same thing with this with the, the books. Like people are studying it and figuring it out, making connections, Brown Aja stuff. But let's wrap it up here. We've been talking a long time about it. I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. We also post the episodes to our YouTube page, so go check out there. Like, subscribe to that and like the video if you want to watch us instead of listen to us. You could just watch us and turn the sound off. That might be kind of interesting. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages. Links to all the aforementioned information is included in the show notes to this episode. Any last thoughts, Jen and Tom?
I just had one thing. Rio in chat reminded me that I had made a prediction that we would have, I believe, the date for the trailer release by February 28th. So we should have that by the next time we do a show. We should have news by next week of when the trailer is going to be released.
All right.
So
the secret.
I'm still holding on. We have 4 more days. When you listen to this episode, we'll have 1 more day. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be Tuesday.
So I've got one thing. I hope that Jen's right. I got one thing. Today is February 24th when we're recording this. And I mentioned this on our Discord server earlier today. We talked about it a lot this morning. But today is Twin Peaks Day because on February 24th, 1989, I believe, is the day that Dale Cooper first drove into Twin Peaks to investigate the murder of Laura Palmer. So you may be listening to this maybe after that, but still have a nice cup of coffee, have some pie, and
there's a fish in the percolator.
There is a fish in the percolator. That, like, I don't know. There's a show that I think
you could do a podcast about.
Oh my gosh, I could do a podcast. You can pick an episode. We could do a year about it. I love that show. Joe has pointed out my younger son is named Dale, and that's in part because of Dale Cooper. So that's a great show.
In part because of the chipmunk, Dale.
Yeah. What's the other part, Tom? Not in part, in full, in totality. Don't.
No, it's not.
Don't be quiet.
But no, but just in part. But it's the biggest part.
Tom hopes his son goes up to be a male stripper.
What?
The Chippendales.
Chippendales.
Oh, the Chippendales. Okay.
Thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear us next time.